You are now listening to Femme Regard Podcast with Tessa Markle
and Kerri Lynn Alvarez.
Femme.
Hi, Femme Fam.
Hi,
Welcome
guys.
back. It's your girls, Kerri Lynn and Tessa, here to spill some tea. Here to have another amazing guest. Today, we're bringing you Miss Kerri Lynn Miller. She's an actor, writer, producer. It has a production company. Shout out to Rain Productions. That I love the message behind that, and that's why we had her on the show. It's committed to sharing new, untold stories that are highly complex and have strength of women behind those stories. And you know, that's just kind of like how Femme Regard rolls. So we love that. We love that. So when we met Kerri, another fellow fam member from the gram, we noticed her being a part of the community, and she reached out, and we were like,
I think you noticed she was from Jersey too right away.
Oh,
it was like one of the first things I remember you saying.
Was about to mention that a specific fact. So I love that you hopped in there, because if you're going to be a woman in film from Jersey, you already got my green light. Like, we're going to go. We're going to say yes. But yeah, she's a fellow female fan from Jersey and doing the damn thing. And guys, her story, we get real deep in this episode about our personal insecurities, and Kerri does as well. And she shares a really personal story that we are so honored that she was vulnerable with us in this episode. And I think it's really an inspiring, relatable message that she shares. And I think you guys are really going to learn from it, and an amazing platform that she's using for her film. So as well for funding. So I think there's lots to learn in this episode, but I really hope you guys take away those messages and continue to grow the fellow Femme Fam community. So give Kerri a welcome on the gram, and stay tuned for more.
Girl, have you listened to Hags yet?
Oh my God, yes. Let's tell the fam about it.
So, Hags is a weekly podcast dedicated to deconstructing and demystifying how society values gender by asking key questions like, for the love of God, why?
Yep. And each episode begins by celebrating a boss-ass bitch from throughout history before tackling our ever-changing understanding of modern intersectional feminism through history, pop culture, current events, personal anecdotes, and embarrassing childhood stories.
Co-hosts Riley Rose Critchlow and Nicole Weiland are frequently joined by special guests like Gates McFadden, Troyan Belisario, Gina Susanna, Liz Jenkins, Brianna Cuoco, Ione Butler, Jazz Thornton, and Jen Mora from Voices of Hope, and many more.
The show is produced by Alex Reeves and Point of Blue Studios.
Follow them across the social medias at Hags Podcast for more.
Well, Kerri Lynn Miller is on the show today, guys. As you can tell, we're bringing in, we always do an official intro after, but thank you so much for coming on. We're excited to delve into your personal story as a woman in film, filmmaker, writer, director, my love, as well.
Soon to be.
We're
Nice.
excited to hear about that journey for you, and just happy to have you on the show. So thank you.
Yes, thank you for coming on.
Oh, thank you so much for having me on. This is great. I love what you guys stand for, and I love that you're bringing community together, and especially supporting women filmmakers and creating like a community where we can help each other. I think it's fabulous.
Yeah, thank you. Like, it means a lot to hear that, and it means a lot to like see your support. Like, guys, Femme Fam, Kerri just joined our Patreon. We saw that this morning, so thank you so much for that. But even just, the support that you've shown us, like on Instagram, I know you've tuned into our lives and you follow us on there. Like, it's so cool to see people that, aren't just already friends and family, like people that you're meeting because of what you're doing, and to see their support and to now have you on the show. Like, that's such a cool thing for us.
Oh, absolutely. And we're all connected, right? And
Yeah,
so
so true.
by helping each other, we all just end up helping the whole. So it's great.
Yeah, absolutely.
No.
So Kerri, tell us just, who you are, like how you got started, what it all is that you do.
Yeah. Okay, sure. So I got started, it's actually, well, my parents think it's an interesting story because I went to school to be a doctor, and I ended up just taking a elective class, and it was an acting class, and it was a monologue class, and I fell in love with it. So after graduating, I did pharmaceutical sales, but then also put myself through William Esper Studio in New York.
Nice.
And it's a 2-year Meisner program. And then after that,
It's just like this medical background, girl, you were on track here.
I know, right? So I didn't end up being a doctor, but then I ended up just selling drugs. Legally, that is.
I love this.
But yeah, so I did, I'm an actor and I love acting. And I just found myself being just disappointed in, well, I guess you become an actor because you want to tell stories and you want to become the character and have this huge arc and all these things happening. And many of the roles that that I was booking, which I'm very grateful for, like guest stars and co-stars, you're there in service of the story. And sometimes you get like good, juicy characters, but I just still felt this like void of wanting to tell stories and wanting to really share different ideas with the world. And so I started writing. And I've been writing and working for about 7 years and taking all the classes from everything from Save the Cat to Robert McKee's story classes and joining writers groups.
So great. Both are great tools. I love them.
Yeah.
I love their books. They're so good.
Absolutely. I remember when I was starting out, I literally had that Save the Cat book. Like I had it earmarked and like just on every single page, it was like my Bible that I used for like the first year, just when you're trying to understand foundation and trying to how to set up and everything. So that was really helpful structure wise.
And I have Robert McGee's audiobook. I found that one was like really great to like in my LA traffic drives. And now granted, I don't have that, but to keep playing that was so helpful because it really like he story tells whereas Save the Cat, I feel like you really can bookmark and like see the lists and like visually like assess that. So just geeking out here over that because I do feel like Save the Cat is perfect, but I would highly recommend Robert McGee's, right? Or McKee's. I always like McKee's story is a great audiobook because then you're just really just like ingesting that information and can do it like a million times. Like I literally like that was my equal obsession, just having that play. No, so great. So then you were like consuming all the writing tips, really understanding how the structure works because it's very important.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, they kind of married up nicely together. One was more structure and one more kind of like dove beneath the surface to get into like the depth of the character and really storytelling. So those were two tools that helped me. And then just joining writers groups and getting your ass handed to you basically every night as you're like learning. You're like, oh my God, I think I have something good. And then they're like, this is wrong. This is wrong. This is wrong. This is what I said. This. And you're like, oh my God. But what they say is like, when you learn, I was in a writers group with people who were very accomplished, like Nichols, fellowships and like all that stuff. So when you are with people who are doing it at that high level, you take it as a gift that they're giving you that feedback because it allows you to continue to grow your craft and get better and better. And so, it hurt, definitely. I also learned how to take feedback, and not take things personal, but we all take things personal, right? From our stuff. So
it's hard when you're telling a personal story or something that's like really vulnerable to you, a subject that's really vulnerable. And you're like, these are my personal thoughts and feelings in a way.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
And it's different, I think, too, being an actor versus a writer as far as like feedback and criticism and stuff, because it's like as an actor, like you kind of just look at it as being directed, right? And unless it's a scene that you like spilled your guts and were sobbing and everything, most of the time it's like, okay, let's do another take. Let's try it this way. Okay, cool. Versus writing, it's like, no matter what, you spent hours and hours on those pages, so to get like really harsh feedback, you're like, oh my God, it was all for nothing. But yeah, you just have to like go into it knowing it's going to be better once they give you that feedback.
Yes. And Tess too, because a lot of the material that that you write about and is very personal and it comes from, these deep, dark places that you have and you're sharing it and you're, like you said, you're putting your heart out there and it's not somebody else's material. It's yours. It came from the inner depths of you.
Right.
And so it's definitely more of a challenge.
It is. But that's why I said this on, I forgot what episode, but recently, but that you still get a performance high then when you like really nail like the story arc and the writing. It's almost the same then in acting because you're like, I delivered it. I delivered that performance in a way. It's in a different medium. But that's where I've found the joy in writing it too, because it takes so much mental power to put the puzzle pieces together and you're being vulnerable and you're like, ugh. But then when it all works, it's like magic and you just feel just feels so good. You're like, oh, okay, my message, my like the dialogue is juicy there. And it just, it feels that you get that same, I don't know, at least I do. I get that same high.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, like the acting, like Tess was saying, it's just different because it's not yours. And then, I've produced short films that I haven't wrote, but I've also acted in, and it's then a different sort of ownership that you feel with producing, right? And then going to the next level where you're like writing, producing, and it's like it's just a different consuming of your beingness that's going out there, or your vulnerableness, I guess I should say. But yeah, totally.
Yeah, I love that. I love exploring the different vulnerabilities.
So you were saying that you kind of started writing because you weren't like seeing the stories that you wanted to see out there, but were you then intending for it to be things that you were going to act in as well? Like, was it, parts that you were missing for yourself, or were you just writing to get those stories out there that you felt were missing?
Yeah. So full transparency, I've been working on the same story for 7 years, and it's
that's what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a story that I don't see myself playing the main character.
Okay.
I really would like this to when we think about distribution and stuff, I'd like to attach somebody with more of a name. I'd love to play a part in it, and there's a ton of female roles, which is fabulous. But yeah, I do.
Kerri Lynn and Tessa act.
I know, ladies. I know, absolutely. No, I mean, this story. So to answer your question, this story it's a really personal story for me. And I feel like it's my purpose in life for sharing this story. And so that's why I know I'm not making it so precious, but it is really important to me. And I'm still acting and auditioning and doing other things and writing shorts, but this is kind of the thing that I feel very driven towards for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like your baby.
It is. And when somebody calls your baby ugly, it's not ever like going back to the feedback thing. That's never easy to experience, but I'm excited about it. I'm excited about it.
Yeah. And we talk about this a lot on the show too. It's like, you have, as a creator, whether you're, on the producing side, the writing side, directing side, or all of it, regardless, like you're going to have those projects that are your baby, those projects that are like, you want to make sure that you are getting the kind of funding you need for it, that you are doing it right, no matter how long it takes. Right. And then you've got those other projects that are like, the shorts along the way, or the web series along the way, that it's like, you're getting the practice in with those, you're learning what you're doing with those. And it's just so important to not be so precious with the little things, to just get them out there and get things done. But then to save, like your baby for when you're ready for it.
Yeah, that was beautifully said. Absolutely. It's kind of like knowing when to be precious and when not to be precious with it. And then for me, I feel like this, fear is a big thing with me. Like not letting your fear or other people's fear stand in the way of sharing your truth.
Yeah.
And for me, that's been what this project has kind of represented, because of so much of it, does speak to a lot of my vulnerabilities, and sharing that. It's taken me time to be okay with putting it all out there and having conversations about it, and because it deals with a lot the themes of shame. So Obviously, some of my personal shames are in there.
Thanks for spilling the tea on that. I think fear is again, like being vulnerable in your writing and stuff. You're like, okay, well now everyone's going to hear about my, not everyone puts it to hand in hand that it's your story, but it is coming from you. And so, and you have to, I love that you said that you just kind of have to acknowledge that this is what happened. And this is like, this was my journey in a sense. And is that where you're writing from really too? It's like, this was kind of my journey and then processing that.
It was a total battle. And it was every year I felt like I was more truthful and more truthful. I had to just keep ripping away the layers. So I struggled with body dysmorphia disorder at a very young age, and not with regards to like eating disorders, but I focused on body dysmorphia disorders when you really focus on something that maybe other people don't see as much as you do, but you obsess about it and you obsess about it. And I did that with my nose. And I always was very just all consumed by that. And what happened was then you couple that with some traumatic incidents that happened that kind of reinforce what you were thinking all along.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And then so you kind of start to struggle with that. So for me, my story, struggling with that, and then, just continually trying to hide like really who I was. And then having plastic surgery on my nose to change, the way I looked, because I felt that I just felt horrible about myself. And I felt like that I just wasn't living up to what it means to be a woman, because women are like pretty and women are this and that. And I felt really like, oh, if I look this way, then it would be easier, it will be better. And I got really involved with coming out of college. I told you that pharmaceutical sales job. I ended up working for a company that sold Botox and Juvederm. So I was constantly in that environment where everything was about perfection and about fixing flaws and making yourself look beautiful. And I just want to point out too, that not everybody that seeks out plastic surgery has an issue. A lot of people do it and it's healthy and it's fine. But for me personally, I'm only speaking from mine, that I really struggled with that. And so my story really was about coming out and telling a story about a woman who kind of spends her life struggling with this disorder, but pursuing power and control through her physical appearance, but then finding greater power in taking on the events and people that kind of drove the insecurities and inadequacies in the beginning to begin with. So, gosh, that's a long-winded answer, but
no, that's
great. I mean, just even saying that out loud is hard for me to say,
I love the idea of that. Like that's definitely a film I would watch. Like just those themes are so, it's stuff that we as women deal with every day all around the world, just in general. And then let alone specifically like in the entertainment industry where it's like our looks are what are selling us, literally. And yeah, it's so much to deal with as a human being. So like to see that story told, in like a film format, I think people are going to really they're going to really relate, Yeah,
I completely agree. I think it's really empowering when you can like own either your issue with that or show someone who's working through that. And to piggyback on what Tessa said, and I just like, it is, I've never heard anyone else say like they have this problem. I don't have dysmorphia with it myself, but my nose has been a constant like
same
thing in my life. And I've even had like a headshot photographer. I'm like, not like, I didn't ask for your opinion, but he's like shooting me for my headshots. And he's like, don't get a nose job. Don't ever do it. And I'm like, well, thanks for saying that. I was even thinking that. Thank you so much. Right. Thanks for pointing it out. I really appreciate that. But then I was like, yeah, fuck you. I'm not like, fuck everyone. Like I'm just gonna live with it. But it is something that I am always thinking about. Like when I get ready, when I do my makeup, I'm like, okay, like she's there. But
Yeah.
it is something that is a characteristic for me, and I've always just worked on owning it and trying to, you know, and again, I'm with you. Like, you know, if some people want to get the surgery done, and I'm like, do it, girl, whatever makes you happy, or boy, like whatever makes you happy.
Right.
But I do think your story is like really gonna inspire a lot of people, because that is, especially in this industry, it's something that we get told all the time, or we think about all the time, because we are on camera and we are doing the things, or it's like going in for a certain look. It changes what you are good for, you know, or I guess like casted for.
Yeah. I mean, this is the first time I've actually said it out loud, to be honest with you.
Oh my God.
With you guys.
Thank you so much for being honest and vulnerable, and see, like, so relatable, right? Like we we're like pouring it out with you too.
I know. And
like,
that's what makes me feel so like, you know, I think I said early on, is like, I just decided I'm not going to let fear stop me from sharing my truth. And I want to be able to stand in my truth, because I know I'm not the only one that feels like this. I mean, I know that for me, it was all around shame about the way I looked, and then shame for having done it, and then hiding that I had done it. And it was like this constant shame cycle that I was in, and just feeling, and then wondering like what my life would have been like if I didn't do it. And like this constant battle of that happened. So it's definitely been a cathartic experience for me. And I just decided that, you know, during this 7-year journey, I think that's what's taken me so long, is because it's just been shaving away like these masks that I've been putting up to the world, and like trying to be or have this image, but I've kind of just been worn down, and I'm like, fuck it. You know, this is me, and this is who I am. And you're either going to judge me or you're not. But I think what you said, Carolina, is that, you know, I don't judge other people for doing it, because it's really all about their why and like what their journey is. Right. And so I can only speak to my journey, but I do love that what you shared, that you have been able to say like, yeah, I struggled with this, and it's something that you've been able to turn into like a strength.
I still struggle with it, girl. I still struggle with it, and that's so like, first of all, I love this story. I just clap that out. And something you just said that was so important. Like, and I think about it too. It's like, okay, and if I do get a nose job, I feel this already. I feel ashamed. Like, that's so important that you attach that, because it's like, oh, so she did the thing. She like rearranged, like, who are you trying to fool or whatever? And like, I don't know. And it's just like, no, shut up. Like, do you. If you like, you know, you are just going to either, that's what I've accepted. Like, I'm either going to own the space I'm in, or if I'm really just not happy anymore with wherever I'm at, I think change is fine. Change is great. Right. We all have to evolve. We all have our own like journey with there, but it is so hard to not take into fact other people's opinions on something.
Oh, yeah.
Or like,
look. Hard.
So no, I think what you're saying is exactly what a lot of people piggyback on. And like, yeah, I've gotten to a place where I'm healthy about it, but thankfully, but it's still a struggle.
Yeah. And I think a lot of things like this, everybody tends to so much internalize and think like that they're the only ones going through it in a way, but like that's so not the case. I mean, even just the three of us literally with noses alone, like that's something that each of us have an issue about. Like, how weird is that? You know what I mean? And then like to go beyond that, like personally, I am a big fan of plastic surgery. Like, I've never had any yet, but like a nose job is first on my list as well. But it's funny because my nose is crooked. So that's what my issue is with it. And I always say like, oh, I just want to get it straight. Like, but I don't really want to change the shape of it. And I feel like I have to like justify that when I tell people that. But it's like, why? Because if anybody else came to me and said they wanted a nose job to totally change what it looked like because they don't like the look of their nose, I'd be like, yes, girl, go get it. Like, you do you. Right. You do what's going to make you happy. And I think that it's so dumb that it's like looked down upon to get plastic surgery. Like, yes, it can be unhealthy. If you get addicted to it, you're going in and getting like so much more. But like, if you're just unhappy with a part of your body that you can spend a couple $1,000s to fix and then you're done and you're happy, like, why not? You know, and that's what it's there for.
Right. And I agree with that. And I feel like it's more when it becomes an issue, and when it became an issue for me is when you're trying to change something by changing the outside instead of addressing like the inside thing that's happening. And that's kind of what I've learned in my journey, is that for me personally, no matter what I did to try to fix something on the outside, it never filled like that void that I felt on the inside. Yeah. And clearly that's because I was dealing with a lot of shame and a lot of different stuff at a much more deep level than someone who's just able to say, I don't like this and I'm just gonna change it and I'm gonna feel better. And they probably do really feel better with it. But for me in particular, it never worked. And so for me, my lesson and my journey has been that, I just know I have to go, like, that's when I learned to meditate, and I learned to really kind of listen to what's happening inside of me so that I can kind of lead from there. And when I change on the inside, then everything around me on the outside kind of changes as well. That is what I've learned.
Yeah. And that's so important. And I think that that's something that's also like, coming to the forefront, I guess is how I would say that. But like, people are way more aware of like loving yourself, like how important that is, and like putting in the work to do like that psychological work. Like, so many people nowadays are in therapy that like, even just 10 years ago, let alone 20 years ago, people would have been like, oh my God, like, are all these people crazy? Like, why are you in therapy? You know what I mean? But it's like, it's a healthy thing to work through these things, because even if you have no, chemical imbalances, you wouldn't be diagnosed as anything. Like, we've all got issues. We've all got baggage. So
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. And we live in a world that everything is about the outside, right? It's like, I'm sitting here saying I have to go to the inside, but it's so challenging when everything you see is about the outside, from the billboards to the commercials, to the magazines, to the movies, to everything is about the outside. But to really take that time to go inside and like meditate and really check in with that has really helped me a lot. And I don't know. I mean, I guess for everybody, it's different. Some people, it's just taking a walk in nature. Some people I don't know, but just finding that way to connect with your inner being, your inner soul, so that leads you in your choices. And then if you're connected in that way, it doesn't matter what you choose, plastic surgery or not, as long as you're aligned with on the inside, then you're going to be okay. It's just when the misalignments are there and you're doing things for the wrong reasons, which I spent much of my life doing. It's just like chasing something where it can become unhealthy,
Yeah.
And exhausting.
I think that's really big of you to, and I'm sure it took time to recognize like it's coming more internally. That's really like bugging you and getting under your skin about all these different thought process that you had throughout your experience. So is there, like, again, like you just said, like everyone has their own process, but for anyone that is like tuning in, they're like, wow, I feel the same way and I think I might get like something done. Is there any advice that you would say to someone who's like thinking about doing this or struggling just in general, that they could, something that worked for you to work on the inside?
Yeah, I think that shame is about hiding, right? When you're hiding something, you just feel like, oh God, if anybody saw this, I would just die, right?
Yeah.
And I know like the antidote to shame, and what I'm learning is just like when you actually can put yourself out there and just be, put it out there, whatever you think is horrible, whatever you think is unmentionable or just makes you hideous or disgusting or whatever, it's the hardest thing to do, but it actually is the most freeing thing to do too, is putting it out there.
Because I love that you said that, and I just want to interrupt because it's like you taking ownership, like you're in control of the narrative, like it's me owning this space and what I'm seeing. And I actually did that about my nose too. So I love that you said that. Like when I was starting out here in LA, I did a blog and I wrote about it. And I felt like, you know what, that was my way of being like, and my experience with that headshot photographer and just all the little things and just being like, yeah, this is me owning this space and I'm going to address it. I'm going to address what I think is the elephant in the room,
That's amazing. That is amazing. And I'd love to read that article.
Hey everybody, I'm Chris Fafalius, and I'm the producer of Krista Makes a Podcast and the host of the One Hit Thunder podcast.
And I'm Matt Kelly, host of Horror Movie Night and the producer / the head of content for the Geekscape Podcasting Network.
Between the two of us, we have, believe it or not, 25 years of podcasting experience, and we want to help you start your own podcast.
We know podcasting, and we want to share that knowledge with you.
So whether you're new to podcasting or you want some feedback on your currently active podcast, we want to help.
Or perhaps you're just overwhelmed with all of the editing work. Well, we can help you with that also.
You can contact us at info@weknowpodcasting.com for more information.
We're excited to help your podcasting dreams become a reality.
And then I would say that the other things are just, I think, Tessa, you mentioned self-love is, it's this weird combination of being able to like forgive yourself for feeling that way. And just, it's like just giving yourself a little space. And I do that through meditation when I feel, I do meditate. I have a meditation practice. I meditate in the morning. But even when I do feel those things coming up, I will just kind of just step aside for a little bit and just kind of refocus, because it's a constant struggle. It's not something that just goes away, for me at least.
Right.
Not like, oh, I'm good, I'm great. I never have to feel that way again. I feel like for me, it's the opposite. It's kind of always there. And I have to just keep myself really present with what it is I'm working on, and that self-love and really forgiving yourself, and not, because I think that you can get caught up in this idea of it has to look a certain way or it has to be like perfect. And you can be really hard on yourselves and almost beat yourself up a lot. And in that beating yourself up, it only just continues the cycle of shame and feeling bad. So to break the cycle, there is a point where I think we need to forgive ourselves for feeling that way about ourselves, forgive ourselves for having the plastic surgery, or forgive ourselves for whatever it is we need, so that we can just, like you said, Carolina, that just like own it,
Yeah,
Absolutely.
For sure.
I love that.
Yeah, I agree like wholeheartedly with that. I did like a whole program on like emotional intelligence and like all this stuff we're talking about. And that was like the biggest eye opener for me, was like just giving myself that grace and forgiving myself. And it's like, I can still be hard on myself. Like, that's just how I am. I'm going to push myself. But like, things that have already happened, there's no use in dwelling on that and beating yourself up over that. Like, it's happened, it's done. Forgive yourself and move on, and that it just releases so much pressure that you put on yourself. And it doesn't make all your problems go away, of course, like none of it's magic, but like that's such an important first step, and like gets rid of so many like baggage, so yeah.
Absolutely. Oh God, I'm just so grateful to you guys, I have to say, because this is like a really big step for me in this whole process and everything. And I think that, with me starting to produce the film and raise the funds for it, I just had to get really clear with who am I going to be with this? Like, who am I going to, like, people start asking questions. Like if I'm at when I'm at a film festival and they're asking me for inspiration, am I going to hide behind this and act like this is not me, or this is whatever? And I'm just like, no, this is the bullshit ends here.
Yes.
So thank you guys for allowing me to
Femme Regard podcast, y'all. Femme Regard podcast. This is what we do. No, I love that. And that's so true, because Kerri, like what you're saying, as you saw, like immediately resonated. And who knew it would have been all about noses? Like, who knew? But that is literally the one thing. And like, you see, you've already just being so open about it, like your message, your outreach, you're the perfect spokesperson for that, because it is coming from you. It's your project, and it's only going to empower you more. And yes, there will always be haters. Like, that's just how it goes. But that's when you call up Kerri and Tessa, your femme girls, and we will beat them up. No, not physically.
I will remember that.
But, the Femme Fam will come for you.
But that's something to remember too, is like, there's always going to be haters no matter what. If you wrote this story and it had nothing personal for you, you just thought it was like a good, way to think, people are still they would still give you the same like hater comments and all of that, but the fact that it does come from a special place, the people that are going to enjoy it and it is going to resonate with, like, they're going to really connect to it even more, because it does come from a place of truth. So
Right.
I mean, that's with any story that people are, creating. Just remember that, like, there's going to be hate no matter what. So
yeah. No, thank you for saying that. And I definitely will remember that and keep you guys on my speed dial should anything come up.
Yes.
Tessa and I are from the East Coast. We all know a guy.
That's
We know a
right.
guy. We got a guy to take care of the guy who's knows this other guy. So it's all good.
I love it. That's amazing.
No, 100%. But I just think you're like more, aside from like focusing back on the positive, you will have a better outreach, because if you share it from your heart, your personal story, like you just did, it's just going to go way further. It's going to connect more. It's going to sell more. It's just, you're set up for success. You really are, Kerri. And like, we're so excited for you.
Yeah. And you said you're
guys.
about ready to start like pre-production, or is that where you are right now, kind of, with funding and everything?
I'm raising money right now for funds. And we just are kickstarting a campaign on a platform. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. It's called WeFunder.
I haven't.
No, this is Tessa.
this would
I
be
thought we took
cool.
all the seminars. Damn it! Where did we miss this?
So this is really cool because it's different than like Kickstarter or Indiegogo, because when you do those are just folks that are like love you, like your mom, your dad, your friends who are just donating money.
Mm-hmm.
This is a little different because it allows people to actually invest in your film and share in the profits, like the ROI, but do it at a smaller level. So for example, like, if you start an LLC with your film and you're trying to raise money, you might look for accredited investors that can only invest like a high amount.
Right.
Let's just call 100K for like to buy one share of your LLC. But this is different because it allows them to buy in for as little as $250, and they can still do the profit sharing, or as little as $100 actually. And it's really cool. So it allows people to come in to support you and to enjoy the, potential profits of the project as well. So
that is really cool.
That is.
Does it allow
so
for
cool.
also just donations too, or is it all like investors?
It's all investing.
Okay.
I'm sure somebody could say, I don't want it, but the way it's set up, you have to be approved by the SEC to do this. So it's all set up there where people make their investments online, and it's all, the contracts are there. So it's all done through that.
Amazing. I was just going to ask, it's probably all set up so you don't have to like constantly be writing a contract. It's just a set format. Perfect.
Yes.
And then it also sounds like the reason why you really love it is that it kind of opens up the investor pool. Instead of just having to find those large ticket investors, you're having more opportunity with a smaller investor, more investors, but smaller amounts. And maybe those are easier to target. That's what I'm like assessing. This.
Absolutely. We did have a couple more accredited investors come in initially. And what we decided to do is just put everything and reinvest it into the WeFunder account because it just made more sense. But to your point, absolutely. It gives you exposure to people who would invest in your film and want to see, hey, can I make some profit off of this? There's so many different avenues now with everything pretty much going digital in the Corona world that, there's so many different ways to make profit and ROI off of bringing a film into the world. So I think people are more excited about investing in that.
I love
awesome.
that. So it's WeFunder is the platform.
Yeah.
Perfect. And you said you're about to launch it, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what they do is they give you like a week before, like if you went on to WeFunder right now and you put in Awaken Her, which is my screenplay or my film, you would see our campaign come up, but it would only be because you searched for it. But once it goes live in a week, so they give you the first week to kind of just get your friends and families in and on board. But then after that, then you go live and it's on the site all the time, and people, then you're exposed to other investors that are on the site as well.
Okay. Perfect.
So fam listening right now, today is the 22nd. So it'll be live by kind of the end of this week, like 27th. Is that around?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So guys, look for it. Awaken Her, you said, is the title, right?
Yep. Awaken Her.
Yeah.
Her. And how long is the campaign going? Or are you kind of leaving that open-ended right now?
Right now we have it till the end of April 30th.
Okay, awesome. So guys, you've got plenty of time between now when you're listening and end of April. If you guys are interested in investing, because I think a lot of people, I know a lot of our listeners aren't even filmmakers. They're just people that are interested in the filmmaking world. And I'm sure a lot of people would love to invest and be part of a film, but they just don't have the money because they think it has to cost, $500,000 or whatever. So this is a great opportunity for both ends, the filmmaker and the investors to get involved in something.
Absolutely. That's interesting that the majority of your fan base is people who are just more interested in film versus actually creating film. That's really interesting.
I mean, maybe not majority, but
I wouldn't say majority, but like
probably close to half, honestly.
Yeah.
Wow.
I would say it's 50-50. We were so surprised because I even had then people hitting me up that, like Tessa too, that were not in the film space. They were like, we love your show. I'm like, you listen? Like, hi, I haven't talked to you in like 3 years, but I love you. Thank you.
Wow, that is so cool. I love that because that's part of why I like WeFunder too, is because it's not just about film. You can invest in anything there. Like you can invest in like somebody who's starting like a brewery or a bionic arm or something.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That is so neat. No, I love it. We'll have a link we'll throw in a link, I think, Tessa, we can in the credit notes, guys, so that it'll be easier for you to look through because, it is February right now, and we'll hope to maybe bump this up so we can have you live and having, our audience check you out because this is so exciting. And I think
that's awesome.
The message is going to resonate with a lot of our fans. So
yeah, absolutely.
I'm excited for that.
Oh, well, I hope so.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So that's so exciting. So to I guess to take it back where you are in your process. So you're about to launch and then you're going to make the damn thing. And I know, and that's like a thing itself. Is there like a platform or place you really want to, distribute it on? Do you have your eyes set yet on anything?
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great question. Thank you for asking that. People don't usually ask me that. Well, so here, I'll tell you my 2 wishes. My 1 wish is to have Jennifer Garner play the lead role. And
I love her.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
I love that you love her. She's very lovable.
Of course.
And I love her too. And I think she's so talented.
Yeah.
So that would be the first wish. And then the second one would be to have a distribution deal set up with Netflix.
Awesome.
Love snaps. We're putting that out there.
Yeah.
Write it down, journal it, Kerri. I'm sure you have. Let's put that out there.
Yeah.
I love that journey for you, as I would say.
I know. I love you guys.
We love you. And something really exciting too is Netflix is picking up a lot of things right now because with the pandemic, it's they don't have their normal big studios and stuff to reach out to, even not even big studios, but still studios.
Mm-hmm.
So they're picking up a lot of things that they might not have gone to quite the independent level. So as long as you use the right equipment or whatever, they have weird specifications, but you can Google that. As long as you've checked those boxes, you've got a really good chance. So now's a great time. Yeah.
That's great to hear. And then of course, all of us, we would love to have it premiere at a Sundance or, something, just a festival to be out again with people.
Oh my God,
and, seeing that community together and watching your film on screen for the kickoff of it and the premiere. I mean, I think everybody is really excited that could be happening in 2022, maybe.
I know, hopefully. Yeah. I know Tessa and I are definitely going to go visit our girl, Whit Ingram, at the Sundance Film Festival next year. I'm already penciling that in. I cannot wait to do that.
Well, I will go with you guys.
Yeah, let's meet up. Absolutely. That's what I want. I want the Femme Fam to come together. I want us all to finally be in person because it's just hard, but we've been making it work. We've been making it work virtually. So again, being able to podcast and still virtually have these discussions has been so nice.
And with our long distance guests like you know, I mean, obviously you wouldn't be coming out to LA to come to the studio and record with us. So like,
right.
Yeah.
Right. You guys are doing a fantastic job of making people still feel connected. And like I said, just like broadening the community of female filmmakers and showing the support. It's just amazing. I love it.
Oh, thank you.
We love it too. We love it too. And like, again, like I'm so excited for this project. I'm so glad. I'm so excited.
I will keep you guys posted as we go through, and I'll definitely keep you in mind too. There's a lot of female roles in there, so I'll keep you in mind.
Yay! We love that. Because again, I know we speak on it like in spurts throughout our seasons, but we were actors first, and then we like started producing and filmmaking to broaden our roles and what we want to see on film. So your stories, like it, you know, we actually, Tessa kind of has a little, I don't know, she has a lot of background. She's a lot of secret certifications that I'm learning about, where I'm like, you studied what? You did what? You did, girl. You do all these like
Do I have the certifications? Maybe not. I studied a lot of things. Just always go through with it.
Oh, it's just a technicality.
Just a technicality. But I love that we have like these different spaces that, you know, like you came from, backgrounds. I feel like that influenced where you're at. And that's why we have to just be grateful for our past and what we learned from it and where our stories are going to continue, you know? And I love that that's where we come back to filmmaking and producing, you know, we get to embrace our past in that way and then move forward, you know, and like be like, okay, that was a chapter here. And now we're going to make the next film.
Absolutely.
Yes. Well,
and circles rise together. So I feel like, you know, we all are vibrating with this good energy and we're here to help each other. So I think that's great.
Oh my God, Kerri, if I go back home, like we might have to hang too.
Oh my God, you have to tell me if you come back home because Morristown is literally 20 minutes from me. So
it really is. Caldwell, hello.
Yeah. I'm just going to come home with you next time, Kerri Lynn. Okay?
I know. Tessa's literally had like, we both have had dreams of like our parents finally meeting each other, visiting our hometowns, and yet we've not done it yet. And it's a shame. So
oh my God, I love it.
We need to do
an East Coast trip.
Woo-hoo! Yes. I love visiting the East Coast. I do. It's always been home for me still, like in my heart. There's always like that place there. So absolutely, Kerri, we will have to do that. Motown it up.
Yeah. But Kerri, let our listeners know before we end today how they can find you, you know, via social media, if you have a website, anything that you want to share and promote that our listeners can find right now.
Sure, absolutely. So on WeFunder, you can just type in Awaken Her and you'll find our project. My website is kerrylynnmiller.com. And my handle for Instagram is Kerri Lynn Miller. And that's Instagram is pretty much where I hang out the most. And Facebook too, I'm on there as Kerri Lynn Miller as well.
Awesome. Yeah, Instagram's where she found us, guys.
Yeah. Instagram's where it's at.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on today. Yes, thank you for always being supportive. Yeah.
Like we see it, we always do, and that's why we always acknowledge, you know, our fellow fam. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, keep doing what you guys are doing. I love it. To be continued.
Yes. To be continued.
Thanks for listening to Femme Regard Podcast. If you like what you hear, tune in every Friday for more tips on the filmmaking business and insightful conversations with industry professionals.
We can only grow with your support, so please subscribe, share, rate, and review. You can also join the Femme Fam on Patreon. For more on us, check us out at femregard.com.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.